Pasture View Projects. Got my assistant Bob with me. I'd like to thank you for taking your time to watch my videos. If you do enjoy it, I'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to the channel so you can follow along with this experiment. But what it is, I want to learn or try out the best methods for saving seeds. And so from what I've watched and read about, a lot of people that do homesteading will save their heirloom seeds, so heirloom varieties, like with tomatoes, like Brandywine, German Johnson, that sort of stuff. There's other heirloom varieties of different vegetables as well, but today we're focusing on tomatoes because in our last video, I don't know if you remember, or if you watched it, but we had some grape tomatoes that we had sitting on the counter from the grocery store, and I wanted to keep the seeds from them, plant them, see if we can get them to germinate and grow them out and see what kind of plants they were. Most of the vegetables you get at the store are generally hybrids. A lot of them are greenhouse hybrids, so I don't have any belief that it's going to grow true to type per se, but anyway, we're going to grow it out. But I wanted to also test out the fermentation method of seed saving and also just see how it compared to other methods of plants, of getting plants to grow. And so I think my last video, what I proposed was to have the fermentation method and then also slice up one of the cherry tomatoes and bury those little slices, and then take the insides of one, just kind of pat it off with a paper towel. Well, it's been about 2 weeks since I made that video, and the fermented seeds did fine. You'll see later on they smell terrible, but they did fine. But I forgot about the other tomatoes and left them on the bar, and Bob and Poppy, I think, played soccer with them. I found them on the floor a couple times. In any case, they were pretty beat up, pretty soft. So what I decided to do was change the experiment a little bit. Instead of cutting them in slices, what I did was I buried one and I left one on the surface just kind of split open and laid out. And then the, I guess, control, if you will, is the fermented seeds. So I don't have an exact count for how many seeds were in each tomato, but they were each equivalent in size, so there should be a similar number of seeds in each one. So we'll just see how many grow from each method and how fast, because I'm kind of curious about that, to see which one will sprout the soonest and which one will sprout the most. So anyway, follow along with me today and we'll go through how we're doing this. They say you can tell the stuff is ready when it starts smelling really bad. It's pretty ripe, like dirt and I don't know, like a rotten cheese, I think is probably the smell. But these are our fermented tomato seeds from our little grape tomatoes that were left over. What I'm going to do is I've got this strainer out of an old coffee maker. You could probably use a colander if you had fine enough holes in it. I don't have one that's that small, so I have an old coffee maker that I don't really use anymore, and it had this reusable coffee thing. So I'm using it to strain my seeds. So I'm going to rinse them off, make sure we get all of them out of here. Rinse them off really good. This is really fine mash, so it won't wash through, but it will get all of that, hopefully all of that stink out of there. Alright, so My plan for this is to take a coffee filter, because these don't really stick. So I just want to see how well this works, see how many seeds I get out here, and put them on here and kind of just pat them dry. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to try this in the fall. This is not an original idea. I don't remember whose channel it is, so if this was your idea, I apologize, but I am taxing it and taking it for myself to use. I'm going to see how well it works. If it works really well, that I can get the seeds off. If I feel like I can leave them on there and let it dry completely, get the seeds off, and use them easily, then I'm going to stick with it. If not, then I'll find another plan. But this looked like it worked really well for the person that was using it. So here we are. So I got my strainer here and my coffee filter. Just gonna so we got a nice little bunch of seeds here. I'm going to use the dense planting method with these, so little bunches is okay. I'm going to kind of try and spread them out in my little 3-inch pot, 2.5-inch pot, whatever I fill with seed starting mix, and do that. With this, what I'm going to do is, I think I'm just going to cut this open. Well, it's already kind of busting open, so I think what I'm going to do is spray it with a little bit of peroxide water solution, and there's a little bit of mold on here, so I don't want the mold in the dirt, or starting mix rather. So I think I'm going to do that, and then put it in there, cover it up with just a really thin layer. I have another one, the other one that I planned on using. I may just sit it on top without doing anything to it and see if they sprout that way. We'll see. I know that in my garden, when I've left cherry tomatoes, I'll have a second round of little seedlings come up right at the end of fall, or middle of fall, and they'll be almost 2 feet tall by the time winter hits. So I know that they will germinate that way, but I just want to see. So that's probably what I'll do. I'll bury this one a little, maybe split it in half and bury it a little bit, and then take the other one and just maybe tear it in half and kind of sit it on top and go from there. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. So let me go grab some potting mix. Alright, so this is going to be my third one that I'm just going to leave whole. I think maybe I'll just tear it in half and put it on there. But I'm going to spray them with this peroxide solution because they do have a little bit of mold on them. I'm going to make sure they're really somewhat sanitized. Sometimes the mold, the tomatoes don't really care, but sometimes mold will prevent them from sprouting for whatever reason. So I don't want that to happen. Don't want that to be a problem, but it might. We'll see. Like I said, this is kind of a not so very scientific experiment. I don't really have a control. I mean, I guess you could consider these the control because this is the kind of accepted method. So we can do that. What I'm going to do is just going to take these seeds, put them in my seed starter mix. I like with my seed starter mix to get some peat moss, and I'll break it up really good, and sometimes I'll screen it, sometimes I won't. A lot of times when you go to dig stuff out, you'll pick out these big sticks anyway. They'll just kind of come to the top, and then I'll mix in a little bit of a fine either potting mix or whatever I've got on hand. And I don't mix much, maybe a third, if that, will be a potting mix. And it's really just to give something, because a lot of times I'm bad about not getting them out of these little pots as soon as I should. So it gives them something to kind of to sustain them while I'm distracted with another project, honestly. So, alright, so my other tomato. So this is our fermented tomato seeds. I'll push them down a little bit, get them nice in there. This is already moist. I don't think I'm going to water it in. Maybe a little bit. Maybe I'll just give it a little spritz with that. So our other one, we're going to kind of cut it in half with the razor blade and then bury it. So it's already kind of broken up. But we'll do that. Kind of just stick it in there like that. Give it a little cover. Like that. See how it does? That one's done. This one, we'll just kind of split, just like that. So it's sitting on top, a little bit covered with the, is it a rind? A hull? The skin of the tomato? The skin and the innards are covering this one while we buried the other one. So I'm going to put those in my little inside greenhouse. And we'll track their progress. Once they, maybe, in the next week or so, once they've all kind of sprouted and get a little bit of growth on them, I'll do a follow-up video and we'll kind of compare the volumes in each one and see which one seems to have sprouted the most and go from there. So, alright guys, so I got my little tomatoes that we potted up or put in their starting mix during this video at the bottom of my little inside greenhouse on a heat mat. These guys don't really need any light at this point in their life, but it's there. They don't even really need heat for the next couple days, but they've been soaking in water, so I have a feeling that they'll germinate pretty quickly with some warmth. So that's why I put them in here. Real quick, here's an update. These are like sweet peppers, autumn bell peppers. Mostly the back has some pepperoncini, some sweet banana, a black Hungarian I think is growing. Yeah, one of the seeds did grow, and one ancho poblano, as well as some jalapenos. So that's what I got growing in that little guy. They're doing really well. They probably won't go out till the middle of April though. And then in here I've got these are 3 different types of basil, and this is 2 dill plants. And over here I have my San Marzano and my Edox F1 hybrid tomato plants that are going to go out. And then I have 2 orphan plants. I don't really know what they are. I dropped a tray and I saved those 2 guys, but they're doing really good. That one's got the potato leaves. It's probably a brandywine in the back. So, but it's doing really well. Anyway guys, I really appreciate you watching my video. I would love it if you would like and subscribe. Hopefully we'll get some really good content coming up with our gardens. Hopefully I'll do a garden tour once it kind of starts greening up and I do some cleanup work out there. It's kind of a mess. So, but look forward to that, and I really do appreciate you guys watching.